Okay, a very important thing, the charts that come by default in Excel, those are very simple charts, right? So there are places where you need to add some more information. For example, I know this is 18,000, but instead of showing it or comparing it from here or looking at the values directly, I want to show 18,000, right here on the bar chart. Right, so I can go into add chart element, which will be in chart design, right? So just to reiterate, I click on the chart, I go to chart design, and I have add chart element. When I click on it, you would see that there are a lot of options that are available which we can add to the chart in order to enhance the visibility, readability, and usability. Right, so let's say data labels, right? And I see that none is the default selection. So what I can do is I can include data labels, so which is the actual values that we are showing in the data. So I can choose it, and I want to show it on the top of the bar. So let's say outside n, right? So you would see that the values are exactly shown here, right? I can go here, go to axis, right? And let's say I don't want to show a primary vertical. Okay, so now you would see that the values that were in the y-axis are not there anymore, right? But that doesn't impact our visual because we already have the data labels available, so we know exactly what we are seeing, right? So depending on how simple or how complex you want the chart, you can choose different types of elements, right? So access related, and then you can also choose title. So you can add a title, so I can just say sales, um, and then I can add another title for product or x-axis. All right, and then we have chart title. Like if I want to include chart title which is already there, so I can either remove it or include it, whichever way I like. Okay, and then you have data table. So if you want to showcase the exact data that is being used, we can also show it. And then error bars, like if there is any error, what do you want to show? Do you want to show grid lines, and what kind of grid lines? And legends, so legends are like what color is being used for what kind of dimensions, and so on, right? And trend line, so if you wish to include a line that will also showcase where the data is going, like is it growing or is it declining, you can also show it. So let's say moving average, right? So what is the average from 5 to 7,000? It's obviously 6,000, right? So my line starts with 6,000, right? 6,000, and then again 6,000 or close to 6,000, the average becomes this. And with 18,000 plus 18,000 and so on, right? So the crux of the matter is that I have a moving average line which will help me to understand how the overall sales on an average is moving, whether it is growing or declining, and so on. And quick layout helps you to quickly define how the chart would look like with pre-built templates. So for example, if I choose randomly this, I have this, right? And of course so on. Okay, if I want to change colors, obviously I can do that. The theme of the colors, of course. And then I have these pre-built formats for different kinds of color combinations or font sizes and so on, right? There are so much more that are available, right? Depending on your company theme or your own styling, you can choose whichever color and style of the chart. Switch rows and columns, so it switches from X to Y and Y to X. And then you can select the data, like if you want to include more data, then you can also do that. Switch row and column will make sense when you have compatible data set. That will make sense when you switch the data. Right now it will not make sense to switch. Okay, and then change chart type is already covered. Move chart is already covered, and then we go to format. Format is basically your cosmetic area. So if you want to change colors, type of shapes, and so on, right, you can do it from here. I would leave it up to you to explore this one because it does not have a lot of technical stuff. It just is similar to what you would see in the home tab on Excel for simple visual changes. Okay, let's move to line chart. So I take this one and I go to insert, and then I click on line chart. Right now, the good thing is the Excel has been made in a way that everything that you have learned for column or bar chart is exactly similar to every other chart. Of course, you will have to select the particular objects that you want to add or delete or remove, or do any kind of actions. It has to make sense for that chart type, right? Otherwise every option that you will see for one chart will be available for the other chart, right? Let's go on. Let me go back to line chart, and I want to just read out the case statement. So line chart is used to show a trend over time, right? So time is an important factor. So your x-axis, right, has to be some sort of timeline. Okay, obviously it's not a hard restriction that it has to be a time. However, the use case for line chart is to show a trend, right? And trend are always over time, right? So if you have x-axis as time, the line chart would definitely make sense to have. Pie chart show parts of a whole. So how much contribution is one product giving out of all the products is a statement that you are trying to answer using a pie chart, right? It's always out of 100. So let me go insert pie chart, right? So you would see, let me chart title, data labels in the center, right? So you would see data is available here, right? You can change the legends, the legends are shown on the bottom, but you can switch it to right, left, or top. Let's go to tree. So I have this, and I go to insert, and I have this tree. Okay, tree chart is exactly similar to pie chart, but it's of different shape, right? It's rectangular instead of circle, and it has added functionality of showing different dimensions with colors and sub dimensions with sizes as well, right? If you look closely, that we have region as North America, and then country USA and Canada. So both are showing with the same color, so that you know what is the hierarchy and what you are exactly showing. Okay, why do we do it? To show hierarchy or proportionality of the data. So you would see from the colors that these are the hierarchies, and proportionality as in North America, USA has the higher market share in terms of revenue. In Asia, China has a little bit more share than compared to India, and so on. Okay. Scatter plot is to identify correlation between two variables. So if you want to know whether one variable is going up or down based on the value of the other variable, you can use, or you can choose to use scatter plot. Insert, and then scatter plot, and this one. So you would see that with every value of age, the income is increasing. So those are positively correlated. If you don't know what is correlation, it basically is a relation between two variables, or more than two variables for that matter. So waterfall is to show how each component affects the total. So let me select these, go to insert, and I have waterfall, and here. So you would see that I started with 0, right? I had a sales of 10,000, right? Cost of goods is minus 4,000, that is my cost. I invested 2,000 for operating expenses, and then another 1,000 for taxes, and then my profit was 3,000, right? So you would see how each component compared to sales, or how each component is compared to sales for the overall input. Okay, let's do combo chart. So combo chart, as the name suggests, it has combination of one or more visuals. So I go to insert, and then I use combo chart. Okay. So because of the difference in sales values and profit margin, it seems that the red line is almost at the bottom. Let me do some changes in the data. Let's say 90, 85, 95, and 100. Right, so now you would see that the values are now more on the same scale. That's why we can showcase, or we can see the red lines. Now there are ways to change the secondary axis so that this does not happen, but we will cover that in the exercises, so don't worry. Right, with all of this, I'll cover one more thing. So when you select the chart and you double click on it, you would see that the chart design, the format also appears, and along with it the formatting or chart options also appear. So these are again cosmetic things and some of the technical things that you can change for a graph. So you can choose a pattern to fill, or a solid fill, or no fill at all, right? So you can change the color or sizes of the boundaries. You can choose or decide what color to show, and so on, right? And then you have the appearance of shadow if you want to, or you can change the size of the chart, and so on. And then you have text options. So how the text will be shown is something that you can control from here. With this, we have covered the basics and some deeper insights into how visualization works and what is the difference between report and dashboard. I hope that you will keep all of these points in mind before you start planning for a dashboard. Thank you.